All right, here we go. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're logging into the YouTube video. Um, this class is on agency. And if you know the format, the number one and most important thing about these different categories that we're going to do is understanding the verbiage that is going to be necessary for you to get full mastery of that section. So to recap, I always like to do this recap so you can understand the importance of each section that you're studying. Um, by far, the two most important sections on the whole entire test is contracts and agency, with a close second to principles of practice, followed right after agency. So we talked about contracts. The next thing that we're going to do is go into the definitions for agency. This video is intended to be short, quick, and very concise. So with the definitions, as you know, I always recommend that y'all make your own definition. Don't go with the definitions that, I mean, if you want to, you can. But it to me, mastery comes in by seeing a word and then not necessarily verbatim, being able to verbatim, say the definition back from the book, but be able to tell us in your own words what that means to you. And to me, that's complete mastery when you're able to come up with a short definition based on how you understand that subject matter. So let me share my screen here real quick and let you see the words for agency. Now, these words are words that um, are ones that I think you need to know, but it's not limited to those words. So there's going to be some other words that we're going to go through when we're going through the section, the agency section, and you're going to need to know those words and these. But I guess I could put it this way. I wouldn't go take the test unless I had a good, strong working knowledge of the words that we're about to go over. If you don't know these, then definitely don't go take the test. So I believe it's 15 of them. The first word is commission. What is commission? And so what I did to help the class uh, kind of try to retain this information is I did like some fill in the blank sentences and I filled them in already. So you're not going to see like a sentence with a blank in it. But what I can do is delete the words and give you ladies the sentences and you can use them however you want to use them to try to retain some of this stuff. So the first word is commission. So what is commission? Commission. A real estate commission is a percentage of a property's purchase price that is paid to the real estate agents and brokers that facilitated the purchase and sale of the property. That was a fairly long definition. So what I'm saying to you is take that definition and make your own shorter version of that. Now, if you can't make a shorter version, then just use that. But that's the definition of commission. You need to know what commission is in a real estate transaction. And we will go into more detail. Again, these words are just, this video is just a quick snapshot. It's an introductory video into the broader topic, which is agency. When we're going over the definitions, it's almost like we're trying to learn the language of that section. If you do not know the definitions, you can't speak the language. And that's the best way that I can put it. All right, so commission was first. Again, a real estate commission is a percentage of a property's purchase price that's paid to real estate agents and brokers that facilitate or procured or was the cause of the purchase and sale of a property. That's commission. The next word I think you need to know is going to be confidential. And some of these words are just like, you should know what confidential means, even if you're not a real estate agent. But what does confidential mean in the terms of real estate? All right. So the first thing that I wanted to let's go over the confidential. And so confidential is going to come in here. This is what the fill in the blank section says. It's number 11. Agents must keep all information that's provided to them. And I got provided, so let me change that. That's provided to them confidential or private, proprietary, especially if the information may be damaging to them in the real estate negotiation or their client in the real estate negotiation. Certain things are just required to be confidential. Let me tell you about the test. They'll ask you after you have completed a transaction, is it required for you to keep your client's information confidential? Now, you sold the house, they've moved into the house, or they've gotten their money for the house. Is it required for you to keep their personal information confidential? It's always, anything confidential should always be kept confidential unless you get some sort of disclosure from your principal that you can share that information with other people. So confidential is private, secret, proprietary. That's a pretty simple word. Let's move on to the next one. Disclosure. Now, disclosure in real estate is to let people know. That's my definition. Let someone know about something that is either something that you're not sure of, or you may know for sure. But what is disclosure in real estate? You need to know what disclosure is in real estate. And our disclosure fill in the blank sentence is number 14. Ohio law requires the disclosures from sellers about any defects or condition issues known with the property that they are selling. We'll go much more into this one. Disclosure is one of your fiduciary duties that you owe to your principal. Confidentiality is one of your fiduciary duties that you owe to your principal. So those are two very important words. All right, so no disclosure, know what it means. We'll go over a number of different documents that we have to, as agents, have people fill out in regards to disclosures. So we'll touch on that a little bit more later as well. Dual agency. What is dual agency? All right, so dual agency down here, I'd already done it. Dual agency occurs when a real estate agent works on behalf of both the home buyer and the seller and must be agreed to by both parties in writing. It has to be consensual. And typically that consent has to be in writing. Actually, all the time that consent has to be in writing. And dual agency. So what is dual agency again? Dual agency occurs when a real estate agent works on the behalf of both the home buyer and seller and must be agreed to by both parties in writing. So that's dual agency, no dual agency. All right. The next word that we need to know is exclusive agency. All right, and these are in alphabetical order, so these are in any type of in order of importance. These are just in alphabetical order. And so what is exclusive agency? So exclusive agency here, right here, is number 15 on the sheet. Exclusive agency is when a seller or sellers agree to pay a commission to the listing broker only if the property is sold through the efforts of the real estate broker, meaning that there's a higher type of, and we're going to talk about that one next, there's a higher or better type of listing agreement that agents can have above the exclusive agency. So what pretty much exclusive agency says here, if you sell my house and you're the reason why it's sold, then I'll pay you a commission. But if the whole time I'm going to be trying to sell it too as the homeowner, and if I come up with the buyer, you're not getting a commission. All right. The seller is the only person that can come up with the buyer and you don't get a commission. That's exclusive agency. All right. Exclusive agency means that you have an exclusive position. And if there is a buyer that comes along and buys the property, and so as long as the seller isn't the one that procured or brought that buyer, you'll get a commission. If the seller brought that buyer, you do not get a commission. And that's what exclusive agency. That's the distinction between this one and the next one that we're gonna talk about. So the next one is going to be exclusive right to sell. That's exclusive agency. Actually, let me just not even want to confuse it. Exclusive right to sell is flat out the best type of listing agreement that you can sign. It doesn't matter who sells the property, you're going to get your commission under an exclusive right to sell. It is the best type of listing agreement that you can have with a seller. So let's read what exclusive right to sell in terms of the fill in the blank. And it's longer. It says an exclusive right to sell listing contract is where the seller agrees to pay a commission to the listing broker, regardless of whether the property is sold through the efforts of the listing broker, the seller, or anyone else. Again, it's a listing contract where the seller agrees to pay a commission to the listing broker, regardless of whether the property is sold through the efforts of the listing broker, the seller, or anyone else. You're going to get your commission if that property sells within the contractual terms that's agreed upon in a listing agreement. All right, next question, or next definition. So I believe that was number 6, fairness. All right, I'm not even going to go to the fill in the blank on this one. Just know what fairness is. Fairness and honesty. For the test, they may ask you, what do you as a realtor owe non-clients? So, and clients is another word that's going to be on a different section in terms of the definition. Agency will be on a different section in terms of the definition. So we'll get to that once we get to that section. So those words will be there. But fairness and honesty as a real estate agent, that's what you owe people that are not your clients or customers. Remember, when you have a client, you have a contractual relationship with them, either a verbal or oral written relationship with a client. And when you have that contractual relationship with them, you have what they call fiduciary duties or responsibilities to your principal. So you owe your principals and clients a wider set of duties than you do to a customer or someone that you do not have a contractual relationship with. But in Ohio, you have to give people that are, as a professional real estate person, you have to give people who are not your clients, you have to treat them fair and honest. Okay, so that's going to take care of fairness and also honesty. Fiduciary is the next word. And what is a fiduciary? All right, this is going to be something that we're going to cross paths on a lot, and you just need to make up your own definition for this. Fiduciary is a person with a legal obligation wherein one party is legally required to act in the best interest of another. It is the highest position that you can be put in for someone else. All right, a fiduciary, a power of attorney acts as a fiduciary. In other words, with a fiduciary, I always tell people in the class or anybody that's asking questions about fiduciary, treat them as if they were you. If you wouldn't do it for yourself, you wouldn't do it for your fiduciary. It's that simple. All right. If you would want to know something, tell your fiduciary. If you want something that personally you don't want to have disclosed or want to keep confidential, make sure that you treat your fiduciary the same way. The question that you should always ask yourself, I'm not doing that for me, so I'm definitely not going to do that for somebody else that I represent, right? And so that's what a fiduciary. So what is a fiduciary? Is a person with a legal obligation. That's the contract. The contract created that legal obligation where one party is legally required to act in the best interest of another. You're legally required. When you get into a contractual relationship to sell somebody's house or to sell a house to somebody, that contract creates a legal requirement for you to act in their best interest. And that's what your fiduciary is. And you serve the fiduciary for a fee in most instances. What is the next word? We did fairness, we did fiduciary. What is general agency? General agency. All right. Now there's 3 types of agencies for the test that you need to know. You have specific or special agency, you have general agency, and then you have what they call universal agency. General agency is, and I'm gonna just give you an example. It's when I look at the agencies, I try to establish like a hierarchy with these agencies, and a lot of the different things, and I'll point them out once I get to them in the section. Like when I think of agencies, I know that there's 3. I know that there's a specific or special agency, and that I'm hired to do one thing. And I'm going to cover actually all the 3 different agencies in this area. So we're going to knock out 3 of the words with just this. What is specific agency? Well, it says it right here. I'm hired to do one thing. And most of the time, and 99% of your relationships with your clients are going to be a specific or special agency relationship. which means you're hired to do one thing. You're hired to sell somebody's house or to sell a house to somebody. Typically, that's it when you're a realtor. You don't really delve into the other types of agency, which again is general or universal, right? So specific agency, special agency is that you're hired to do one thing. And here on the definition, it says specific agency in real estate is when an agent is hired to perform a specific duty for a client. Typically, as an agent, that specific duty is to sell their house or to sell them a house. The next type of agency is it's a higher responsibility. That's why I'm setting up the hierarchy. Specific agency, I'm hired to do one thing. General agency, I'm hired to do many things. An example of a general agent is a property manager, right? I can collect rents, I can show units, I can call vendors if stuff needs to be repaired. So when I sign up for a general agency, I'm hired to do many things, right? So a property manager will be an example of a general agent where they're hired, again, they're hired to, if there's a leak in the building, you got to find a vendor and you may have access to a small amount of money to pay the vendors that come out to fix that. You may need to show properties or units within they may own a 10 suite or a 12 suite or something like that. And you have to show units, you have to have them fill out paperwork and doing all of these responsibilities that typically the owner would do, but you're their agent, so you're not performing those tasks for them. That's general agency, or you're hired to do many things. So let's recap. Specific agency, one thing, general agency, many things. And then the last thing is universal agency, everything. As a universal agent, you're hired to do everything on behalf of your client, or you can do everything on behalf of your client. A universal agent is akin to a power of attorney, all right, where you get a power of attorney, you can do pretty practically anything on behalf of that person. And some powers of attorney comes from the court, so the court may have limitations on what you can and can't perform in terms of that. But universal agency is hired to do everything. Now that's simple. Specific agency, one thing. General agency, many things. Universal agency, everything. And if you remember it like that, it won't. You shouldn't have a problem with those definitions. Then let me just read out general agency. An example of general agency would be a property manager who acts on behalf of the clients on an ongoing basis. Then universal agency is the type of agency where the agent has full authority to perform any and all actions related to a person or doing a business, acting on behalf of the client. All right, so that's universal agency. Let's go to the next one. Honesty, we covered that. Loyalty. Loyalty is another thing. That's one of your fiduciary duties. You owe someone loyalty. You don't do anything disloyal. You don't do anything that you wouldn't do, that you wouldn't want somebody to do to you. So that's the loyalty thing. Let me find out. That's the loyalty word. Let me find the definition in here. One of the most important fiduciary responsibilities an agent owes their client is loyalty. And that means that you tell them the truth. You never go against anything that they're saying. You be loyal to them, and that's a pretty simple definition. All right. The next thing we're going to talk about is going to be our listing types. We got another listing type. Remember, we had an exclusive agency or exclusive listing, and we had an exclusive right to sell listing. Now we're talking about a net listing. Well, what is a net listing? Let's go down here and try to find net listing. So pretty much what a net listing is a type of listing agreement in which the owner sets a certain amount of money. Hey, I want $100,000 at the end of this deal, period. All right, that they want to receive from the sale of their home. This type of listing is often a violation of the agent's fiduciary duties. Excuse me, and I'll explain that in a second. But a net listing is just saying, hey, the house is worth, you don't even really, with a net listing, you don't really even have to worry about what the house is worth. You should always know what the house is worth, but the seller's telling you, hey, bring me back $100,000 or 200,000, whatever amount that they have, and you can keep the rest. All right. So if you get an offer for $150,000 and all the seller wanted was 100, your commission is $50,000. All right. But here's the problem with and where the net listings, in a sense, violate law. So first, net listings are not illegal in Ohio. However, they can violate your fiduciary duties. And the way that you violate it is going to be disclosure and also Loyalty might even come into play with that. So let me explain. What if you get a list of, remember I said how you get the seller wants 100 and if you can find somebody to buy for 150, you net 50. But what if there's somebody came in with an offer at 102,000? Now you know if you'd have just put them on a 6 or 7% commission, you would have got much more. So do you go ahead and just sell that house, give the seller that contract at 102, knowing that it may be, and remember the 102 is still going to have the seller net its amount. You just going to get $2,000, whereas you might have gotten more. A lot of times people don't even disclose that offer because they know that it's more, and that's a direct violation of your fiduciary duties. So, and so net listings are not illegal in Ohio, but they're kind of frowned upon because it puts you in a position to violate some of your fiduciary duties. And so that's what a net listing, again, it is a type of listing in which an owner sets a certain amount of money that they want to receive from their sale to sell their home. This type of listing is a violation of agent's fiduciary duties, or can be a violation of the agent's fiduciary duties. What's the next type of listing that we're going to look at? It's going to be an open listing. Now, open listing is a property that anybody can sell. All right. The homeowner puts it out there to a number of brokers, and whoever brings that buyer, a buyer gets the commission. All right. That's an open listing. And there's a hierarchy with listings. Exclusive right to sell, the best listing. Exclusive agency is the second best. I kind of say open listings is the third best because we know net listings are, they can violate your fiduciary duty, and you can get your license sanctioned for that. So I kind of put net listing last over open listing because if we can't do it, it's not better than one that we can do. So open listings are where everybody can sell it. And then the net listing is a listing that could challenge your license, or you get a sanction. You just need to know what a net listing is. So again, exclusive right to sell, the best type of listing, that's the one you want. Anybody can sell it. Exclusive agency, you're going to get your commission as long as the seller isn't the one that sell it. An open listing, whoever brings the buyer gets the commission, and then a net listing. So you should be able to set it up like that in terms of the best, in terms of you as a realtor. I want an exclusive right to sell over an exclusive agency. I want an exclusive agency listing over an open listing because at least I have some level of exclusivity. And then an open listing definitely over a listing that we can't even really do to protect our license. So those are your types of listings. So that was open listing. Principal, what is a principal? That's someone that you have a contractual relationship to perform certain duties with, and you owe them the fiduciary duties, which is accountability, or old car, obedience. You have to follow what they say within reason and as long as it's legal. All right. You got loyalty, disclosures, you got confidentiality, accountability, and then reasonable care. And some of those will be on the next session that we do. So your principal is the person who's paying you your money, and you have a contractual agreement with them, and you owe them fiduciary duties. All right. And we talked about specific agency and universal agency. So these are 15 words that you need to know. At the start of the next class, I'm going to probably go over about 10. Make note cards of all of these and try to know them like the back of your hand. If you do not know them, be honest with yourself, write them down. Have your son, your fiance, significant other, whoever is, maybe you're on a short car ride or a long car ride, pull those note cards out and ask them to ask you questions about this. And we just got to, to get radical results, we got to do radical things. So with that being said, this is the short video and the introduction on agency. Know these words before we do this next class, because this is going to be our concentration and how to retain these words and the definitions and associate them with the different sections in the agency section. So agency is about 16 to 17% of the test. Contracts is about 20% of the test. So just with those two, we're almost at 40% of the test. It's 80 questions on the test, right? So these two sections is about 30 questions of the questions, and we only need 56 to pass. So this will end this video. And if you have any questions about any of the stuff that we went over, you can always reach out to me. And y'all have a great rest of y'all evening, day, or morning.